pull me low. With their heavy hands and bitter words, they thought they'd steal my show. But I was born in thunder, pain and fire deep inside. Rise back up, a stronger man, no matter how many times they tried. Unbreakable, unshakable, unbreakable, unshakable.
Jerks. Hello, 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 hello. I wasn't even planning on doing a show tonight. I got my nap in today. I did get my nap in, but I realized there was a Karen Reed hearing today that I forgot about, and I wanted to just play it. We'll just play it and review it real quick. It's not going to be a late night tonight. We do have a show tomorrow at I think 4 p.m. with Boston City Councilor Ed Flynn on the show on the Young Jerks tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll see you here for that. But today there was some commotion, little action over at the Karen Reed hearing today. I want to thank the trial channel for recording it so that we have a copy of it. We can play it on the show tonight. Thank you so much to the trial channel. Who do we have here? Is anyone watching this? I know a lot of people probably already watched it on some other channels today, but last minute show, I figured we'd just jump in, check it out. Yeah, I didn't know there was a hearing today too. I know. I did, but I didn't. It's funny. I write these things down and then I forget. I needed a nap today. This was better. Give me a nap and then I'll do a quick little show on it. Maybe we can catch up some other content I missed too tonight. Who knows? We haven't had enough drama today. How about the live to tape phone call? I saw that thing. Holy shit. Did you see that one? Live to tape, click, hang up. I've just been laughing. There's a lot of laughter lately in my life. All right, we have a few people watching. Few people on Facebook. Nobody on Twitch. Where are my Twitch people? No Twitch people. We got some YouTubers and we got quite a few on Twitter as well. Yeah, quick show, famous last words, right? Yeah, who knows? It could end up being 3 hours tonight. Last minute quick show. Let's just play what happened in court today. This is going to be a quick video.
All set, Kelsey.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the matter before the court is civil action number 2483, CB 00692. Paul O'Keefe, individually and personal representative of the estate of John Joseph O'Keefe III et al. Versus CNC Hospitality LLC, doing business as C&F McCarthy's et al. Your Honor, for the plaintiffs, we have attorney Mark Diller present by Zoom. For defendant C&F McCarthy's, we have attorney Tamara Holstag. For defendant Waterfall, we have attorney John Dealey and David Hassett, I believe, or maybe just one of them.
It's just John Dealey today, madam.
Thank you. And for defendant Reed, we have attorney Sarah Shipley and attorney Aaron Rosenberg, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So when we were last together on April 9th, at that point, I think not a single deposition had taken place other than keeper record depositions. And I concede that this case has been pending for 619 days. And I acknowledge that for 231 of those days, Over 7 months, the case was subject to what was a very limited stay as to discovery involving Ms. Reed and depositions of certain of her family members. But that stay expired over 10 months ago. When was it, in July? So coming up on a year. And I tried to figure out how a case that's been pending for so long could have so few depositions conducted. And one possible answer came when I was looking at the docket. Did you know that the parties are represented by a total of 22 lawyers in this case? Ms. Reed leads the pack with 10. The plaintiffs are a distant second with 5.
2 lawyers. Karen Reed has 10 lawyers. That's unbelievable, actually. 22 lawyers. What a cluster F.
Waterfall has 4, and McCarthy's has had to try and get by with only 3. But then I thought of the attorneys that are involved in the case, and they're all experienced lawyers, and so they can't be the reason that the case has been pending so long with so few depositions taking place. Then I thought, well, maybe it's the issues in the case are so complex. But I think, as we all recognize, when you cut to the core of this case, it's a wrongful death action with a dram shop component and a claim of negligence in the operation of a motor vehicle. So it's really not that complex. And when I say that, I'm not trying to minimize the claim of the plaintiffs or the defenses of the defendants. So we're here for a status on discovery. So I'd like to hear from each party as to what depositions they have conducted, those that they have noticed, and those that are intended. And I thought maybe we'd go in the order of the number of attorneys that a party has. So we'll start with the least, and we'll start with McCarthy's.
Oh,
We lose
okay.
McCarthy's?
I believe we did, Your Honor.
Well, let's go to Waterfall. Attorney Daly?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. On behalf of Waterfall, we have noticed some depositions that are scheduled for July because so many depositions had already been scheduled, but we have not taken any depositions yet. We did participate in the deposition that took place, I think, on Tuesday. In this case, we have depositions scheduled of a witness from one of the bars where Miss Reed was present, as well as the toxicologist for the Massachusetts State Police, Trooper Roberts, or I don't know if it's Trooper Roberts, Dr. Roberts, also scheduled in July.
Okay. So let's hang on and see if we can get McCarthy's back on.
Your Honor, it looks like Attorney Holzlag has signed in. Her camera's just not on at the moment.
Can you hear us, Attorney Holzag?
I can, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. So
Okay.
I don't know how much you heard of that, but what I'm hearing from each party is to what depositions they have conducted, those that they have noticed, and those that they have intended. So
Thank
go right
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pardon me, I got. So we have to send out today or tomorrow the deposition of for two.
Attorney Holzag, you're kind of breaking up. I don't know if everyone else is hearing the same thing.
Hold on, let me
The trial
log back
court,
off and come back
the trial court wants us to do more things by Zoom,
in.
which is shocking to me, given what happens all the time.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
see
They
if I
say
can
that-
bounce out and come back in.
Okay. While we're waiting for her, they say that the bar wants it. How about all of the members of the bar that are on this Zoom call? Do you want more Zoom and more virtual appearances?
No.
We're okay with,
Attorney Rosenberg.
we're agreeable to the virtual appearances, and there's time and place for us to have in-person appearances as well, Your Honor.
How do you think young lawyers are going to learn if they're just sitting on a screen? But anyways, Attorney Holstag, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Is there still
Bill by
feedback,
the hour,
Judge?
bro. They don't care.
It's
Judge.
gone now, so go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that we have ready to go today or tomorrow the deposition notices and subpoenas to two of the patrons of Waterfall. We've been coordinating with Counsel for Waterfall, who also have an interest in those two witnesses, as well as with plaintiff's counsel. We also are going to notice the deposition of one of the patrons of our own bar. And then in addition to that, we've been in constant, or I should say frequent contact with plaintiff's counsel, Mr. Diller, as to the scheduling of 4 witnesses on behalf of CF McCarthy's.
1 second. So there's 4 witnesses there for CF McCarthy's that they're going to schedule. I just wanted to note that one of our mods, Sarah, just posted up in the chat Karen Reed's Civil Defense Fund. We pinned it in the YouTube chat, so if you want to donate, if you want to support Karen, the link is right there for you to do so. Check it out.
Which are scheduled for May, June, and July, and we're working on dates that work for all the witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. Attorney Diller, on behalf of the plaintiffs?
Yes, Your Honor. Thanks. At this stage, plaintiff has taken the deposition of Stephen Scanlon. We've served 13 notices of deposition, 3 to occur in May. Karen Reed is noticed for June 19th. Aidan Carney is scheduled in July. We've got a pending motion to intervene in the Norfolk Superior Court to enforce our subpoena to enter into a protective order and get access to Mr. Carney's digital evidence. On February 11th, 2026, Your Honor, the defendant Reed noticed 19 depositions and scheduled them for specific dates. Plaintiff blocked off all of those dates and prepared for such depositions at that time.
Okay. Attorney Diller, let me, I'll give you the
lot to deal
chance
with.
if you want to complain about.
He is doing some complaining. Yeah, isn't that interesting? They already have subpoenaed or deposed. They did a deposition with Scanlon. That's the first thing we heard. Karen Reed's coming up. Aidan Carney in July. And then he's complaining. Diller is complaining again. This guy's always complaining. He's complaining about her deposition, that she's got a number of depositions scheduled. What's up with that?
Something, but right now I just want to know what depositions you've taken, those that have been noticed, and those you intend on taking.
Yeah, no crying.
Okay. So, yep.
The judge doesn't
Okay.
want to hear you
Attorney
crying.
Rosenberg, on behalf of Ms. Reed.
I just want to know what you have for depositions. That's it. I don't want to hear you crying about Karen Reed and what she's doing, bro. Oh God, dude, come on.
Thank you, Your Honor. We've scheduled, we have noticed, I believe, a total of 15 or 16 depositions. We had, I believe, 2 that were supposed to go forward that witnesses were unavailable for, that we rescheduled. And we recently rescheduled some of the remaining depositions that we had previously noticed as a result of scheduling changes and the way that discovery has proceeded. We've got the most of our depositions relate to the one claim that Your Honor didn't mention when you were discussing the case, which is the intentional infliction of emotional distress claim against Ms. Reed, which relates to what the plaintiffs deem a false narrative. And the defense to that, obviously one of the defenses, is that that's not a false narrative. So a lot of these witnesses relate to that quote unquote narrative. And so I would just say, I don't think it's as simple. And in fact, as the plaintiff has argued, it's not quite as simple as just a wrongful death claim because of the way that the plaintiffs pleaded. So we've got them all, we have them scheduled. I believe Mr. Diller said Ms. Reed is currently scheduled June 19th or so. I think most of, if not all of our depositions surround that date and finish up at the very beginning of July. As Mr. Dealey said, I think that's when they've noticed the depositions that they noticed.
And you mentioned 2 depositions that had to be rescheduled because of scheduling issues?
It was either 1 or 2. I think it was 2. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. One was a third-party witness who the witness's counsel indicated was unavailable. I actually believe there were 2 of them. Again, off the top of my head, so I could be wrong, but I believe it was 2 third-party witnesses whose counsel reached out before the deposition and requested a new date, and we accommodated.
Were you able to get today's deposition done in the 5 hours we allocated?
Well, no, that deposition was rescheduled.
Is that Brian Tully? Hopefully that breathing isn't me. Is that me, Paul Morrissey? I hear breathing because I don't hear it. But I have crappy headphones. I don't know. I need a better audio system to hear back. Maybe it's me breathing. Is it me breathing? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I don't know.
And I, yeah, that's the answer.
So someone answer for me, how many depositions have actually taken place since April 9th?
1.
1. Okay. Attorney Diller, I cut you off. You were about to convey some information or thoughts to me, so go ahead.
You off, Diller. You were crying. You want to go back to crying, Mr. Diller? His eyes are shut. He's thinking about if he's going to cry some more. Let's see what he's going to say. What just happened? Did I pause it? I must have paused it. Sorry.
You're muted, Attorney Diller.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He's muted.
On February 11th, Your Honor, Defendant Reed noticed 19 depots and scheduled them for specific dates. Plaintiff and all the parties blocked off all of those dates and prepared for those depots. So far, Defendant Reed has canceled 17 depositions and renoticed all of them. For all of the depots that were scheduled to occur between March 24th and next week, Your Honor, the Defendant Reed has canceled 13 depositions. Many of those cancellations occurred on the eve of those depots, at least as far as we were notified. Even though the Defendant Reed had us block off all of these dates in February, I've learned that since Defendant Reed just sent off notices of deposition to the parties in this case, but did not bother to serve many of those deponents until the last minute. This clickbait lawyering is a tactic so that she can create a false narrative that these deponents are the ones who are canceling the
clickbait. Now, we haven't heard anybody talk about these canceled depositions. Like, it's funny he's saying this, that she's clickbaiting using the media, but nobody's mentioned this. This is the first time, unless I'm missing something. Has any YouTuber or print media or publication been talking about this? I haven't heard anything about these canceled depositions. Is he fibbing? Like, what's going on here? This is bizarro. I think he's doing some clickbait law attorney action. I think Diller is projecting
depositions, but because of the late cancellations, Defendant Reed has now rebooked those 17 depositions, and without regard to other dates that we have already served depot notices for. Between now and August 1st, we have 35 depositions on the calendar in this case. Recently disclosed information from documents and depots may likely make necessary additional depots being noticed. Likely, I'm concerned, Your Honor, because
Aaron, if you're watching and you want to send me a what do you call it? A signal message to let me know why those got rescheduled, I'd love to hear that tip. If Karen Reed's still talking to me. I don't want to say too much because it gets very controversial whether or not Karen Reed is speaking to certain people.
I expect there will be third-party motion practice from some of these deponents. It appears that Defendant Reed is using our case to conduct discovery for the 3 other cases that are currently pending with her involvement. So I just wanted to give you context to the scheduling that has occurred up until today.
Your Honor, as you could expect, I'd like to respond to that context, please.
Okay.
Shocking. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's unclear if we're conducting a press conference here or a status conference in a civil proceeding. I don't know what clickbait lawyering is, but what I can tell you, Your Honor, is Attorney Diller has never raised any concern about any date of our depositions with us. If any party to this case has a concern with a date for a deposition that we've noticed, we are more than happy to discuss that. It is completely inappropriate for parties to come on to a proceeding like this and take the time to force us all to go back and forth about topics like this that should be addressed between counsel. So I would ask, Your Honor, that we not handle this in this type of proceeding, and instead, if there's a problem with scheduling, by all means, let us know and we will adjust it as we have for.
Diller, you got called out, bro. Like, even the judge, everybody there knows, like, come on. He's right. He's right. This is not how typical attorneys, especially about scheduling stuff, they email each other. They work it out. Like, everything he's saying that Karen Reed and her attorneys are doing, he's doing. This is the first time we've heard about this. He's doing the clickbait. Diller is clickbait lawyering. I mean, this is what's got clipped today, was Diller and his clickbait lawyer act. It's all projection. All projection. I know, right? We need a picture of this. Look at his eyes right there. Like, he can't even do that. That's so weird. Oh, it is hilarious. Hilarious. Clickbait lawyer. I know, I've never heard of that. Diller, he looks a little backed up. Try some oranges, dude. Oranges, get some fruit in you. Fruit works for me. Trust me. When you get older, I eat a lot of oranges. Those little mandarins. Oh, this is funny. Jumpin' Jack's Flack says, I see a smoke signal. Yeah, send me a smoke signal. Send me a smoke signal. We do a lot of smoke signals over here. A lot of smoke signals. Freeze frame. Yeah, it looks like we have a freeze frame going. It looks like he's glitching a little bit right there. It looks like some smoke's going to be coming out of his head right there. Not like mine, not like the cannabis smoke. It's a different type of smoke.
Third parties.
Look at his eyes. Oh my God. Then he moves his eyes the other way. Oh my God. This is so funny. This guy could be a good actor. He should be on like Saturday Night Live. Look at those eyes. He just moved him to the other side. He has such good command of his eyes. So dramatic, Mr. Diller.
I'm not going
to. He keeps moving his eyes. Oh my God. He's got the wild eyes. Those eyes are just crazy. Oh, I'm going to rewind this for just a couple seconds because look at his eyes. Just the movement in his eyes. Look at, he looks down. Oh my God. Look at all the different views. Look at, watch this.
Come on to a proceeding like this and take the time.
Where did your eyeballs go, bro? What are you looking at?
To force us all to go back and forth about topics like this that should be addressed between counsel. So I would ask, Your Honor, that we not handle this in this type of proceeding, and instead.
He's like, oh fuck, what did I do? What did I say? He's so full of it. I know, right? This is funny. This is freaking funny. I'm very smooth, Sarah. No, I don't do the prunes. Sometimes the raisins, but mostly just oranges. Oranges will do it for you. That's all you need. A little lettuce, some cucumber. Take care of it,
If
Dilla.
there's a problem with scheduling, by all means, let us know and we will adjust it as we have for third parties. I'm not gonna, the accusation that the lawyering is being done for a particular way, frankly, is completely out of bounds and inappropriate. And it's designed simply to be conveyed to the public. And
It's exactly what he projected onto you. He's doing the clickbait. Diller is doing the clickbait. Look at him. Look at his eyes. He's like, geez, I wonder if this is going to be on TikTok later.
not to your honor. And I request that we reconsider what types of discussions we're willing to have in hearings like this prior to any conference under Rule 9C or any other court rule.
So hang on one second. I bet Attorney Holstag doesn't want to miss all this, so we'll wait a moment.
It's funny. I wish StreamYard let us. I wish there was a way that we could just zoom in on a certain part of the screen like this when we were running video. We can do it for other things, but not on the video, unfortunately. I would just love to zoom in on Diller and his eyes, but you can do it on the YouTube screen. So when you watch it on YouTube, you can enlarge it, which is it's just hilarious. This is so fucking funny. His eyes are just wild.
Moment for her to get back on. Is she trying to get back on, Kelsey?
Yes, Your Honor, she should be popping up in a second.
I'm here, Your Honor.
Okay. So,
I didn't.
Attorney Diller, have you?
Miss anything? I heard it all.
Okay, all right.
I didn't miss any of the good stuff.
Attorney Diller, have you spoken with any of the parties about these issues?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, many of these cancellations, we weren't notified.
Yeah, quite honestly, anytime you have to say quite honestly, sometimes you're not honest to the court. It's like quite honestly. I hate that. Oh.
Until the eve. I'll have you know
Okay,
that.
But hang on, Attorney Diller. Did you call up any of Ms. Reed's 10 lawyers and say, hey, what's going on here?
We've talked to them plenty, but we haven't talked about their position of
Karen's attorney just laughing and shaking his head. He's enjoying this. He is quite enjoying this, Mr. Rosenberg. He's just laughing. He's just this is Diller. How about not even a phone call? Why waste your time on a call? Just send a freaking email. You got 10 attorneys. Send a freaking email. How hard is it to just BCC everybody? Takes 2 seconds, dude. What's going on with this schedule? That's all you need to say.
canceling all these depositions, Your Honor.
Okay, well, it's kind of like you're trying to sandbag them, which isn't a great way to do it, you know? Let's take
sandbag
a
it.
step back here and keep in mind that we all have to be professional in how we deal with these cases.
Oh, I love this. This judge just called him out for sandbagging. That's fucking classic. Nobody likes to be called out for sandbagging. When a judge calls you out for, let's rewind that a little bit. Let's look at Diller's eyes again. When the judge calls him out for sandbagging.
Let's take a step back here and keep in mind that we all have to be professional in how we deal with these cases. And that necessarily involves communication. And
Understood.
so let's try and keep that in mind as we go forward, all right? We'll
Thank
see
you.
everyone on June 3rd at 3
Thank you.
o'clock. Is that date a problem for anyone?
No.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Nope.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I hate to keep getting together every month, but it looks like we're going to have to continue to do it. So we'll see everyone June 3rd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
June 3rd. I just wrote it down. 3 p.m. Got to make sure I don't miss that one live. Sandbagging. Yeah, this is a very good judge. I like this judge. Someone said, what's sandbagging? Let's look up the definition. I know what it is, but I don't want to explain it wrong. So let's just bring it up so people, kind of when you undercut, like, here it is, sandbag, a bag filled with sand. Oh, here it is. Hit or knock over or as if with a blow from a sandbag. He's a complex character who too often finds himself sandbagged by his own self-destructive tendencies. That sounds like somebody we know. He sandbagged himself. He sandbagged himself, right? Diller basically tried to sandbag Karen's attorneys, but he ended up sandbagging himself. I think that's a good definition of what sandbagging is, right? It's like kind of undercutting. You're either you're either sandbagging somebody else or you sandbag yourself. It's basically like undercutting. It's blocking yourself off. It's funny. He sandbagged himself. He basically tried to sandbag Rosenberg and ended up sandbagging himself. That's what just happened here. I love the judge called him out for sandbagging. That's fucking classic. Well, again, I want to thank the Trial Channel. Make sure you follow, subscribe to them. They put all of these court clips out. They edit them. They clean them up, make them nice and short. I want to thank the Trial Channel for recording this. Often it's me that's recording, and I notice other channels then will grab it and share it from there. Today it was everybody sharing the Trial Channel because they were the ones who were on it and got this recorded. So I want to thank them so much for recording this because I missed it. I was taking a nap today. I needed a nap.
Very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The matter is continued to June 3rd, 2026 at 3 p.m. for status conference that will be held via Zoom. And this matter is also continued to May 14th, 2026 at 3 p.m. for the continuation of the motion to compel for those parties that are involved.
Wait,
Thank you all.
rewind that.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
want to rewind that because I want to hear all
Thank
the
you, Your
dates.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hold on.
Nope.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I hate to keep getting together every month, but it looks like we're going to have to continue to do it. So we'll see everyone June 3rd.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The matter is continued to June 3rd, 2026 at 3 p.m. for status conference that will be held via Zoom. And this matter is also continued to May 14th, 2026 at 3 p.m. for the continuation of the motion to compel for those parties that are involved. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I just wrote that down. May 14th is the continuation of the motion to compel. And then we have the Karen here, the status hearing on June 3rd at 3 p.m. So hopefully we'll be covering those. When is May 14th? That's coming up. That's next week, a week from today, right? Yeah, so next Thursday. So we have another Karen hearing coming up. Am I still alive? Yes, I am. What's going on here? Thought I lost everyone. All right, looks like I got a good amount of people watching. Yeah, sandbag it often refers to golfers who inflate their handicap and then shoot a low score. Can also be like self-sabotage, but a lot of times you're sandbagging your coworkers. That's usually how sandbagging, or your partner, your wife, your husband. You totally sandbag me, or you sandbag me in that meeting. You made me look bad in front of the boss. That's kind of usually how people use it. Uh, this came up. Is it more than John's family suing Karen? Yeah, I mean, there's a new lawsuit that's not even. There's also, the Colin Albert, Jennifer McCabe. They're suing Karen as well, and Karen and Aiden. That's a new lawsuit that just came out. What I want to do right now is I haven't watched this yet, and it's been out for quite a few weeks. So the week I took off, of course, it came out. I think it's time for us to watch it. I want to watch Up to Speed with Ken Police Chief Michael Daniels. He's the new police chief. It's like an hour long. I just want to play this and we'll watch it together. I feel like tonight's a good night just to watch some videos tonight. I'm nice and refreshed. Actually, let me put it on this other channel because the volume. Oh, I got rid of it. Hold on one second. I want to try to turn up the volume. I'm having issues turning the volume up on this open browser for some reason. Don't know why. The other one was working. I should have kept it up. God damn. Let's just try it anyways. Let me know if it's not loud enough when I start playing this. You know, I'm gonna go listen to it on the phone too, just to judge it for myself. But let's start this up. I'm gonna step out for a couple minutes. Here we go.
Hello, I'm
Perfect.
Andrea Galvin with Canton Community Television, and joining me is the new police chief, Chief Michael Daniels. Thank you for being on Canton Community Television,
Thank you, Andrea.
and welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
First, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Chief,
Sure.
and your background?
Yeah, so before I came to Canton, I started, I guess, my origin story in Brooklyn, New York. I lived there till I was about 8. And my parents, at the time, where we lived, there was a lot of crime. And obviously, as parents, you want your children to be brought up in a safe community. So we ended up moving up to Westboro, Massachusetts to stay with my cousin. And we were there for a little while. Then we moved to Upton, spent very little time there, and then we moved to Clinton, Massachusetts, which is a smaller community. I was there till I was probably in the 8th grade, and then from there I moved back to Westboro, went to Westboro schools. I graduated in '95. And obviously, all my entire life, I've always wanted to be a police officer, and specifically a police chief. Yeah, so very early on,
That's great.
Yep, I knew that was going to be my path. When I graduated high school, I went on to college, and while I was attending college, I was able to work as a dispatcher with Westboro. So worked there for about 3 years, saved up enough money to send myself to the full-time police academy. At the time,
So that's interesting. You were a dispatcher in Westboro while you were in college.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of experience knowing what the calls
Yeah.
that were coming in that area.
Yeah, no, it was good. It kind of helped build my foundation.
Yes.
But while I was attending school, I would work the overnight shift, so midnight to 8, and then after that I'd drive into school. And that's pretty much how I did things for a while until I was able to save up enough to sponsor myself through the academy. And at the time, Westboro wasn't civil service. So I went to the academy, was there for 6 months. When I got out, I got hired immediately by Bentley University as a campus police officer in Waltham.
Oh, yeah.
So I was there for a short time, then I moved on to Bolton Police Department. I was there for a short time, and I moved and went back to Westboro, where I spent the majority of my career. So I went through pretty much every rank from dispatch all the way up. I didn't make deputy chief. My tenure there, I ended up being the administrative lieutenant.
In Bolton?
No, in Westboro.
Oh, in Westboro.
Yeah, so I spent probably about close to 26 years, 23 years, I think, there. Was in charge of accreditation, policies and procedures, was a public information officer, a records access officer, and I think at that time, I owe a lot to Westboro because it really put me in a position where I felt confident enough to become a chief. And then I saw a job opening with Oxford. I went over to Oxford. We did some good things there. And then, obviously I was, this opportunity came up not once, but twice. And I moved toward it. So that's how I got here in front of you.
Let's talk about the communities of
Sure.
Westboro and Oxboro.
Oxford.
No, Oxford.
That's okay.
Are they similar to Canton or not really?
No, Westboro is very similar. They're almost identical.
Oh, okay.
The demographic, I would say that Canton's probably more diverse, as it's obviously closer to Boston. Call volume's relatively the same. The department makeup, the police department in particular, is very similar. They're both very, very similar, Canton and Westboro. Oxford's more, it's a smaller community,
Smaller
probably
town.
half the size of Canton.
Okay.
But also a very busy community because of where they're located in central Mass. They were just north of the Connecticut border. and we had Worcester very close by, and many major routes going through. So we had a lot of transient population going through the town, but it was definitely good.
Excellent.
yeah.
Why come to Canton? Why did you want a job here?
So I get that a lot still to this day. So not many people would understand this, but I've always said, anybody that's asked me, I've always told people that I'm a person that's driven by purpose. You know, I've had going through my life, I always go back to my dad, because my dad has always, we had a kind of a rocky relationship growing up, but as I got older, I could see, portions of myself in him. And one of the things that I always tell people is that he was always very giving. He was someone who deeply religious, highly disciplined, very, very strict.
Okay.
He brought us up in a very strict household. And he was a carpenter. So one of the things that he would always...
So wait, what does that look like growing up? Strict curfews and not being able to leave? What do you mean by that?
All right. So my dad's from South America,
Okay.
right? So obviously culturally, very, very different from what you would see here in the Northeast or in Northern America. So his upbringing really consisted of, he didn't have an education. So their education was a trade. So
And he was a carpenter.
he was a carpenter. So he learned carpentry very, very young. And his father, Endrin, was a constable they had lived in a village.
Okay.
And they were responsible, between my grandfather, my dad, and his brothers. They actually built almost an entire village because they were all carpenters. So
wow.
he had his own little workforce. But to, what does, strict look like? My father was the type that, from a young child, I always had a task list, right?
Chores.
Chores.
Yeah.
I had a schedule to follow. He would have it. It was always on the back of my door. So, and I was also a latchkey child. So there was a lot of times where I'd come home and there would be no one home.
Oh.
So from the time I was 8 till, I would say, maybe my mid-teens, I was coming in and out, letting myself in and out of the house.
So you developed a lot of responsibility at a young
Very
age.
quickly. Yeah. He had a schedule that was lined up with everything that I needed to do. And if things weren't done, then there would be consequences. So I didn't watch a whole lot of TV. I was only allotted really a period of time on Saturdays. And it was only after we cleaned the house and did all our chores where I had 2 hours where I could watch TV.
Wow.
Everything else was, he wanted us reading books. He did not like us watching TV because he felt, that, and it's kind of similar to social media. He felt that those things would poison your mind, and he felt it was better to educate yourself. So
wow.
he was very, very strict disciplinarian.
And I do want to talk about social media,
Yeah.
but further on in the interview.
Sure.
Wow. So that's quite an upbringing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit, I would say. Yeah.
Well, let's discuss the Canton Police Department and its current status,
Sure.
because there are needs. How many officers do you currently have, and how many do you need?
So I think we're about at 36. We're supposed to be, I think, complete total from administrative staff to civilians. We should be close to 51. Right now, we're down about 9 officers. We're having major difficulty bringing people in. And this, I don't want to say it's just Canton, because it really isn't. I mean, if you look at law enforcement across the country, there's, staffing shortages all over, which has caused law enforcement to kind of really, figure out how they're going to recruit and hire people. So sometimes that results in, creating different opportunities within an agency to attract people to come. But we're also here, in particular with Canton, obviously some of the national attention that we've received is obviously detrimental to that. When people have options to go elsewhere, they're going to go elsewhere. It is what it is. So, I see my role and my job as the chief of Canton PD, and your chief is to, get the staffing levels up so that you and, the citizens of the community can receive the services that they deserve, right?
So you talk about not needing 9 officers,
Mm-hmm.
but 51 in total. So you kind of lumped it into administrators.
Yeah.
Can you differentiate between
Yeah.
what the needs are?
So a police department this size, you have to have a command staff that supports I would say the line level, which is the operational portion of the agency, which consists mostly of the people that do the work at the ground level. When I say do the work, I'm talking about those are the people that have contact with the citizens of the community. So right now, what we're seeing, and typically on a given shift, like I'll take for example today, I have a desk sergeant who oversees the communications center, and then we have another officer that's on the desk that helps to dispatch and sends officers out on calls. We have 4 sectors or 3 sectors that are within the community, but typically we should be running about 5 or 6 officers on a shift. But when you take 2 of those people off the road and you put them inside the building, then you're really left with 4 and sometimes maybe even 3, right?
So that was my question about
Yeah.
dispatch. Should officers be running the dispatch, or should it be left to a staff
Yeah.
person, someone like a college student like you, that when you were growing up?
Mm-hmm.
What should be done about that?
So, there's different solutions. I think, obviously hiring civilians to occupy that, to me, that's a profession on its own. And I want to be very clear. The role now is very different from when it was when I was doing it, right?
Okay.
There's more that you have to be accountable for. You're dispatching. When I started, I was just strictly receiving, police calls and sending them out. And then if a fire call came in or EMS call came in, I would transfer that, right? But that causes a delay in response, right? So you have that, but now you have to be certified. You have to be trained before you used to be able to, they would just take somebody off the street and say, okay, you're going to sit at the desk, we'll train you for 2 weeks, and then you're answering phones and stuff. But now it's just like being a police officer. It's a profession. You have to
Okay.
be trained and certified.
So should it be regional? And what would that look like?
So, yeah, you jumped ahead a little
Sorry.
bit. No, it's okay. It's okay. And it's keeping me on track. And I appreciate that. So, yeah, I do believe it should be regional. I mean, there's proponents, there's people that offer cons to it. But to me, I feel as though, and I think this is the way it should be, that should be a dedicated professional position for career dispatchers or communications officers. That's my feel.
So like,
So it
not
should be
patrol
regional.
officers,
Yeah.
but specific to dispatch.
Right.
And a regional office would be where, and what would that look like?
Right. So right now, Holbrook is the regional communications center, and as far as I know, right now, our EMS and fire services are dispatched out of the Holbrook center. So if a call, my understanding is that if a call comes into our control center, it gets rerouted to Holbrook. The other thing too, people are they're cautious about this because, at the end of the day, when you want someone that knows the community, right? So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Regional communications, you may get a dispatcher that's not from Canton. They may be from Stoughton, they may be from Dedham or somewhere around, but they're assigned to Canton.
Okay.
Right, so they don't know the little nuances with Canton. They don't know, okay, this person's called us 100 times, and we know where they live, we know where the landmarks are, we know exactly where to, having a police officer, they know,
Yes.
right? So they know all these little nuances. And the other difference too is if you have a communications person that's working from a regional facility, they don't have direct contact with those officers, so they don't know the nuances of the officers, right? It's a very interesting thing. When I was a dispatcher, because I was close to the officers, I would know when an officer was stressed, or if they were at a call that they were uncomfortable with, or they were in fear, right? And having that intuition and having that knowledge of the people that I personally work with, I could say, all right, I'm going to send more resources. They're not asking for it, but I can tell that there's stress in
There's
their
a need,
voice,
yeah.
right? So, so there's pros
So
and
there's
cons
a
to both.
drawback to
Yeah.
regional, but also it would, if dispatch became regional, it would allow more officers on the ground, so to speak, throughout
Exactly.
Canton.
Yeah, and then it will allow us. We're a very reactive police department right now, and that becomes problematic because when you have a reactive agency, you know, they're reacting to crime. So in other words, there's, you know, one of the major issues that I get are people call me about, you know, traffic enforcement, right? So that's one of the more proactive things that we can do, right? To create a condition where people feel uncomfortable driving down Walpole Street or wherever it is, Neponset Street, at a high rate of speed. We don't have enough staff to put somebody there dedicated consistently, you know, at those troubled times so that we can change the behavior of the people traveling through the community. So, you know, understandably so, I think, you know, people, you know, they feel upset and they think that we're not being responsive, but I've put out directives for things, but for us to see, you know, and this is what I mean by being reactive versus proactive, for us to see a change in behavior, we have to be proactive about handling it, which means, you know, looking at data, identifying where the problem issues are, and, you know, triaging them in order of importance and putting police officers there consistently so that the behavior changes. But we can't do that because of the staffing. Now, but we're
Being
able,
visible, being
Right.
visible in the community on a consistent basis.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. If I was able to take those two officers and put them out on the street, have a supervisor supervise the officers out on the street, and take that officer that's in there and put them out, that creates the proactivity, right? So, and then you have to account for, you know, vacation, all those things that people take off, and you have to backfill those positions.
Right. So let's talk about positions.
Sure.
You just recently hired a new deputy chief in
Sure.
town, and he was presented at the select board meeting.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about him and that hire?
Yeah. So so in the reading, and I know we're going to go into this a little bit later, we talked about the audit report. You know, when I looked at the audit report, there were a lot of things that I saw, you know, and I'm not going to say, you know, I thought the audit report was done really well, but I think there were some areas that were definitely missed. You know, and those were things that I was able to see because of my background, right? So my background's in accreditation, policy, research, and analysis. I'm a civil rights officer, so I have a lot of things, regulatory things in my background that are helpful to me in seeing how what best practice looks like, right? So when I went to Oxford was very similar to Canton without the national attention, where they had a lot of things that were inefficient, things that weren't being done correctly or in the spirit of best practice that could potentially become liabilities. So
I do want to talk about
Yeah,
the audit
we will.
report.
Sure.
Yeah, but continue,
Yeah.
please, sorry.
So when I went to Oxford,
Yeah.
you know, because it was smaller, it was more manageable for just me to kind of get things going and identifying some of the issues there and fixing them. During that process, Deputy Chief Gifford Cruz was a member of the Oxford Police Department. He had about 14 years on. And in getting to know him, I actually found out that he was, he's managed, I mean, working in Oxford, my observation of him was working in Oxford to him was too small
Oh, really? Okay.
because he had overseen 350 people on a naval warship.
Oh, wow.
Right, so he's a Navy veteran. So his job was hiring, recruiting, right, and training. So, and he's
All the things Canton needs right now.
right. So that was, you know, that was one of the reasons why I tapped him for this job. He worked as my operations lieutenant, and not to say that people at the Canton PD can't do the job, but being an outsider, I have a different set of eyes, and I know where there might be flaws and things that need to be fixed. And this gentleman he helped me architect what we did in Oxford. And those are things that have helped Oxford. Oxford is a very professional, not saying Canton's not professional, but it's a high performing department because we were able to work together with the command staff there and build some of the things that need to be put in place so that best practices are practiced.
Okay, so he's a new full-time hire?
Yeah, so he started, yes, I believe it was yesterday. I haven't really had a chance to connect with him because he's been, doing a lot of administrative work at the town hall and then getting everything set up. So it's going to take him a while to get ramped up. But I also have Deputy Chief Patty Sherrill, who's also going to be training him. So I'm confident he'll get up to speed relatively quick, and then we can, start, help. We can start helping things move along for the PD.
Okay, so let's talk about the audit now.
Sure.
You touched upon it.
Yeah.
But Five Stones Intelligence was hired to do an audit of the police station. Their results came back in April of 2025.
Yeah.
And they had, a tremendous amount of recommendations, and
Yeah.
we can go through them.
Sure.
But did you agree with their findings?
So I'll say this. So I would say that and this is me as an external person coming from where I came from and the background that I came from. I would say 99.5% of what they found was, and this is with the understanding that they were reduced. So the scope that they could look was dictated by the town, right? So
Right.
they said, we want you to look at these things, right? So they looked at those things, but to me, when I look at a situation, I look at systemic things, right? And sometimes if you're just doing an overview and you're focused on individual things, you don't get the full feel of things. And I also have the advantage of working with these guys and girls every day and observing. I sit back, so I have
So far, I've been listening to all of this. First thing I want to say is I want to thank Canton Community Television for hosting this forum, allowing us to play it. If you want to watch the whole thing uninterrupted without me speaking, Canton Community TV. Just do a Google search. It will come right up. They got a nice website. You can watch all the videos, all the interviews there, all the select board meetings. Canton Community TV. I want to thank them so much. This is Andrea Galvin, who's interviewing the new police chief, Mr. Perkins. I think he's doing a good job. It's funny. One thing that stuck out to me right from the beginning is he talked about reading books a lot as a young person because his parents made him read a lot, not watch TV, and being a latchkey kid. Those two things, wow, that's my upbringing. Like I can remember. It's funny. My parents used to make us read books and wouldn't let us watch TV, and it worked for me because I like books so much that there got to be a point where they would like basically take my books away at night because I'd be reading with a nightlight when I was supposed to be in bed. I used to not want to go out. Like my parents would basically take the books away and make me go outside and play football with the kids or something. You know what I mean? Like I got so into books. So I totally related to that. I think it's good to know that he was somebody that read books from an early age, and he was also a latchkey kid. I don't know if there are many latchkey kids anymore, but I was definitely one of them. I remember specifically, I think in the third grade, I was supposed to go on the bus to a babysitter, and I got on the wrong bus, and the bus driver knew me, knew where I lived, and ended up driving me back home. And I just went in the house, and that was it. And I used the spare key. I knew where the spare key was, and I was fine. And then from then on, my parents were like, "Oh, he doesn't need a babysitter." And I was just a latchkey kid. So I relate to that. I like a lot of what he's saying too. A lot of, especially the fact that he brought in someone from the outside, from a different, from where he used to work, to be his assistant, and someone with management experience. Like so far, everything I like so far. There's not one thing he said that I haven't liked. And there is an issue for all police departments right now, all across the nation, with not having enough recruits. Back in the day, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they had so many recruits. People would always complain because they couldn't get on the force. They couldn't get. They wanted to be a police officer, but they couldn't get on. Today there aren't enough recruits. That's nationwide. That's everywhere. for a number of reasons, obviously. I think a lot of it has to do with the political environment out there, but it's also, I think, an aging workforce, just period, like everywhere. Um, and definitely Canton has some morale problems, so he's addressing that as well. I think he's doing pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't know about what because I'm only 35. Don't do that ageism against me just because I'm a young person. Yeah, in the 70s we were feral. In the 80s as well. I mean, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, we were all feral back then. We were very feral. It's a different time. Very much a different time. But again, I am only 35 years old. Yeah, I have a lot of living to do. Some woman on, I think it's a woman. I don't even know. These Twitter trolls, you never know. But they got all upset about one of my tweets where I challenged someone to a fight for money. I said, if you're gonna call me a pussy, fight me for money. Let's do an exhibition. Let's raise some money. And they were like, "You're easy, Grandpa. You're more likely to be on Social Security than you're to fight somebody." I could be collecting Social Security and fighting somebody. That's the thing. Like, Tyson. Tyson's getting up there. He fought. What was his name? Paul Logan or whatever. He did pretty good. How old was George Foreman when he fought his last fight? If I take my shirt off and look at my body, I don't see my age. I see a young guy. I'm like, holy shit, I still look good. All natural. All natural too. No roids, no growth hormones, no prescriptions. It's all natural. I still look good. I could be collecting Social Security and be one of those
things
guys.
that I do. And
So wait, since you've been to Canton, you've been observing how things are run?
Yep. So, obviously I did my homework. I knew all the issues that were going on. I watched all the selectmen meetings going back years.
Okay.
So I got a good feel for.
Wow, there you go. This guy has done his homework too. I'm laughing at myself that I talked like that. How good I look with my shirt off. I am. Yeah, you guys got me very vain. The trolls. The trolls have gotten me. Look at me. Look at me. But I like this that he went back and watched all the select board meetings. I wonder if he watched them on Canton Community TV or he went back on the Young Jerks on YouTube. I wonder how he found them. How did he watch those? That's pretty good though. This guy has done his research. He knows exactly what he's getting into. Well, I don't think any other police chiefs would be doing that, going back and watching all the Canton Select Board meetings. No way. This guy is impressive. Oh, I called him Chief Perkins earlier. Chief Daniels, excuse me. I got him mixed up with the interim. Chief Daniels. Thank you, Chief Daniels.
And a lot of people don't know that. They think I'm coming into town and not really understanding the gravity of what's here. But, before I take on any task, I do immense research. And I look at ways that I can fix things. So, relative to this report, when I was going to, when I applied for the job, we were asked to do a written assignment, which I would so badly want people to see because
That's the thing too, Sarah. Sarah laughing. We have a laugh. Let's be Macho Mike right now. Sarah says all natural LMAO. Now I have the Revere Beach video in my head. God damn. Yeah, and the Revere Beach video was like the worst shape of my life. Like that was when I was probably like the most roly-poly I've ever been, like out of shape. I was going through my midlife crisis. I was working office jobs, miserable. So I look better now than I did back then. What was that, like friggin' 20 years ago? I look better now. So if that was my worst, I think I'm doing pretty good. They picked me to be the meathead jock in the video. I look better now than I did in the Revere Beach video. They got me at my weakest point. That's the only way they could get me to do that. The one-arm push-ups.
they will be confident that if they looked at my written assignment and they looked at the audit report and you put those two things together, I think a lot of people would not feel that.
I think we
because
might
know
have to
there's a
do it.
segment of the community that feels well, you didn't find corruption, or you didn't find this, or you didn't find that. And I can tell you there isn't corruption. I can say that definitively and with confidence. What I will tell you is that the things that, and these are things that I'm looking at now, there are things that need to be done a lot better, right? There needs to be efficiency in a lot of areas. And I've already gathered my command staff. We had a command staff meeting, I believe last week, and I'm starting to realign some of these things. So when I came in, I always handle things in 3 phases. If you're going to implement change, the first thing you should do as a chief is you come in and you observe, right? You don't make any changes right away, because, you don't want to give the perception that you're going to make change for the sake of change or political pressure, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I came in, and I was supposed to stay in that phase for 3 months.
Observation phase?
But there are things that I see that
needed change right
that I
away.
can say, yep, this is emergent. I gotta get out of that mode. And so I watch how officers respond to calls, the timeliness of how they respond to calls. I review all reports, and I've been doing that since I've been a chief, even when I was a lieutenant, or even a detective. I review reports, and I look at how officers write reports. What things are they looking at? Simple things like, how is this form filled out? Are there task lists for certain things? One of my favorite books is Checklist Manifesto. And remember how I told you about my dad, how he would create checklists,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
What happens is that, things become so routine, right? And I know this probably resonates with you.
Sure.
When you're accustomed to doing something over and over again, if it becomes complex, you sometimes forget the things that are rote, right? Because as soon as complexity is put into the situation, everything goes out the window. And then now you're trying to figure out how things, and unless you're trained appropriately, you're not going to be able to adapt. And so there's a lot of that, what I see right now in Canton.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. It was discussed that we have, or the Canton Police Department has, great instructions. It's the follow through that there were issues with, like the crime scene protocols. It was, Five Stones talked about, that our police force has a lack of training because we don't have murders in.
We're talking about very serious things right now. The police audit. What I've done though is I've looked up the Revere Beach video, and I just put a challenge. Now, I don't want to play this video. I don't want to play this video, but I know if I play this video too, I'm going to get a copyright strike on the live. So on the replay, I might just exit out so I don't get the copyright strike after the fact. But if I get 5 super chats tonight, it's a very low number, but it's also a high number because we haven't had any super chats tonight. We don't have a lot of people watching. But if you want to see the Revere Beach video of me doing the one-arm push-ups with me with my shirt off, with beer getting poured on my chest, we'll play it tonight. We'll play it, but we have to get the super chats. It's a video from, I think it's 2010. When did this come out? Yeah, 2010. This video is 16 years ago with me being a young buck out there with a girl pouring beer on my chest. Number one, I was objectified with my shirt off. You want to see the video again? It's hilarious. We got to have some super chats. We'll see. It's up to you. Do you really want to see it? Like, if you don't want to see it, that's fine. I won't be upset about it. It's an offense. Some people find the video very offensive too, to Revere Beach. It's a comedy song. Just don't get too upset if we do play it tonight. You'll see my bare chest.
Every
I
day.
need 5 super chats.
But can
I'm
you
not cheap.
discuss like that
I'm not
type
that
of
cheap.
training? What
Sure.
our police officers need if they do, if they are on a call, such as, what's happened.
Okay, so I'll give you a brief overview of some of the things, because I've made the promise that I will, in a public forum, discuss this in greater detail, but I'm gonna talk about some of, give you a brief overview of how, this study versus what I'm seeing
Somebody
comes
wants
into
to
play.
see it.
Now, I'll always say this, and you probably heard me say this if you watched my interview. I, if my officers are not performing to a satisfactory level, that's a problem with leadership, right? And I'm not, saying anything about my predecessors or anything. This is how I feel, right?
Okay,
This
yeah.
is this is my experience, right? And it's not it's not the fault of the officers if I'm not holding people to a specific standard when they do things, right? If I'm not giving them the training, if I'm not giving them the tools, right? Um, a lot of times, especially with specialized units, there's always, this false narrative, I would say, where because people they watch TV and they think that things get solved like this and things are obvious.
I threw down the challenge, the Revere Beach video. It's been talked about a lot on the show. I think I've played it maybe one other time on the show. Some people have tried to use it against me at times to try to embarrass me. It's a video where my friend Robbie Roadsteamer, who had a TV show that I helped do some marketing and sales and promotion, production. I even did some video work for it. It was a TV show locally on local television on my TV, actually. And were we on New England Cable, New England Sports Network? That was the Boston Boxing. There were two TV shows I was part of back then. But anyways, Robbie, the show really started online on YouTube, and it was a comedy series of a bunch of comedians and musicians, artists, creatives in Alston, kind of telling love stories, real life stories, not glossing anything over, but it was fictionalized, but it was based on reality. A lot of times people would play things close to them, like me. I was cast as the manager. I was booking Robbie, which was like real life because I wasn't his manager in real life, but I had booked him on some events and some shows. So I did do some promotions and marketing of Robbie, definitely. So he just cast me, as his manager on the show. And on that music video, I was there to help film and help do some production. And the director was my friend, and he coaxed me into taking off my shirt and doing some push-ups. He's like, "We need a meathead, and you got the feel in the bod for your North Shore asshole. You take off your shirt, let the girl pour some beer, do some push-ups, make a fool of yourself." And I did it. And if I get the 5 super chats tonight, we'll play it. Since I've been talking about taking my shirt off and how much of a tough guy I am, you can see me with my shirt off if you want. But I'm not cheap. You got to pay for it. You gotta. I need the money. I need a Cliff Bar. So far, we're at two. Sarah says I'll kick things off. Who will join me? And then Sheila True Crime Chat also seems to be interested in it too. She sent $4.99. So we're at 2 out of 5. We need 3 more super chats. If I get there, we'll play the video tonight. We still got like an hour, so I'm gonna shut up for a little while. I'm gonna watch some more of this video, and I'm not gonna say anything. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We can always do it another night. We
And
still
that's
got like
not
a half
always the
hour
case,
left.
especially if you're not running into those things, right? There's high, I always talk about, I got this from a friend of mine and it made perfect sense. He said,
Yeah,
when
the
you,
thing is too, Sarah, and this is so true too. She says Mike needs money for meatloaf. Let's go, people. The thing is, too, unlike in the past, when this video was recorded, produced 16 years ago, I got paid no money for it. I did it for free. I was, you know what? I was cheap W. I was a cheap whore. Now I got expensive taste. I need some money. If you're gonna see me whore it up with taking off my shirt, I need at least 5 single super chats, little super chats, like only $5. I'm more expensive now. I've grown up. I'm no longer cheap anymore. I'm high end.
have high impact things that happen
Maybe I'll
with
start an
low
OnlyFans
frequency,
next.
you can't expect to perform at top notch level because you're not seeing it a lot, right? So if you have, a homicide detective at the NYPD, right? They handle these things probably hundreds of times a year,
Yeah.
and they do these things over and over again, and they know where the mistakes are, right? There's a brief period, and when I say brief, there's before you go into anything, right? There should be a convergence of minds, right? Where a leader in that group says, listen, this is what we have. This is what we're going to do. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. These are your areas of responsibility. Go do it and take care of it. And that person is removed enough from the scene where they can observe and watch. They're not involved. They watch and they make sure people are handling things appropriately, right? So we've increased the training, and it's not just under me. It was under the interim chief, Joe Perkins.
Okay.
He did a phenomenal job, by the way, with looking at the audit report and kind of transitioning from my predecessor into, he literally walked into fire, and he said, all right, these are low-hanging fruit. These are the things that we're going to do. There's still a lot of work to be done. That's why I'm here.
Right. Well, the audit, talked about 3 cases in particular, the Craig Casey case,
Yep.
Sandra Birchmore, and John O'Keefe.
Sure.
And improvements that needed to
Yeah.
be made with the crime scene protocols.
Sure.
Can you discuss that?
Not in detail.
Uh,
There obviously, I think everybody knows that there's still some things out there being litigated, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not at liberty to really discuss those in great detail. But what I will tell you is that obviously things could be done better in some scenarios, right? I'm not saying that that's, and in fact, the officers that were in one of those did an actual good job. But what happens is, and I'm going to tell you this,
Okay.
and I want to be very clear because this is something that was put in the Boston Globe. I had to respond to them. Canton PD and the town of Canton have become kind of, I would say, and for lack of a better term, the whipping boy,
Okay.
right? For certain things. I had a reporter, many reporters ask me, well, Canton Police Department, they failed to, identify this as this, or they didn't recognize this as this, right? But the
Right.
problem with that is that, and this is where, I want the public and the people of Canton to know, there's other agencies involved in this, right? And so some of those agencies don't want to experience the wrath that we've faced here, right? So it's easy for Canton PD to be the dumping ground on things. And I can tell you, they did a good job with one of the cases that you're talking about.
Okay.
And I think it's important for people to know that. And I'm not going to allow, and this is the other thing too,
All right.
I'm not going to allow, another agency or, anyone else hold us hostage for things that we could have done better in the past.
Well, let's talk about, the audit did show different protocols needed to be
Right.
made, that, the Canton Police Department was recusing themselves right away when there was a death. And I think they pointed out that they shouldn't do that. They should just, alongside an investigation,
Right.
stay with the DA's office. So is that kind of what you're referring to when you talk about that?
Yeah,
I mean,
I do. I do think, we have a very capable group of people from all the way from the very bottom to the top. I think people need to give our officers and our detectives and our investigative unit a chance to prove themselves under new leadership, right?
Okay, yeah.
With new training, new equipment, and the things that they need. They have the tools now.
All right.
Right.
So, yes, something that was discussed was having, collection kits in the cruises.
Right, so
and-
that was corrected under Chief Joe Perkins. And just the other day, I was with the Deputy Chief, Gifford Cruz. We were given a tour, and, we were now stocked up with all the things that we didn't have, which is good. And, the cruisers have all the equipment in them, which is one of the reasons why we asked for larger cars, right? Because now, we asked for Tahoes, which now we can put all that equipment in the back, and they're readily available for the officers so that this doesn't happen.
Oh, wow. So you'll be getting them, or Tahoes, or?
Yeah, so that was put on a capital request
For town meeting, probably?
at town meeting by, I believe it was Chief Perkins, but, his thought process was, we already have a ton of equipment, but I want to make sure that this isn't problematic in the future, and there can be no excuses as to why the equipment wasn't present. So,
I see, okay.
yeah.
So let's move on and let's talk about the internal affairs process and the conflicts that have occurred. We touched upon the proper chain of command,
Sure.
but like when someone files a complaint, how is that processed? And we'll go from there.
Yeah. So sometimes people think that, and this has happened to me very recently, they have a complaint against an officer. They want to bypass the process that's in place, best practice across the country, and have a conversation with the chief, right? And make a complaint. Now, what people don't understand is that, although I'm not the appointing authority that can fire someone, I'm responsible for a high level of discipline, right? So as soon as somebody makes a complaint to me, right, it now becomes problematic because now I guess I'm almost like a witness or kind of involved in it, and then I have to do a report, and I'm not looking at it. It needs to be investigated through the proper process. So the way the IA process, happens is if, let's say, and I'm just using an example, let's say someone wants to allege that there was a use of force incident or where excessive force was used. The proper protocol is, everyone knows we have body cameras now. That was a part of one of the corrections.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We just listened to some answers to some questions that some people didn't really like his answer about defending the Kenton police from the criticism, but that's kind of his job now. I don't see a big issue with what he said. Some people got upset by some of his answers there. I think he's fine on it. I will note we reached our goal. Number one, Sarah kicked it off, and then Sheila came through for us. Thank you so much, Sarah and Sheila, two of our great mods over here. And then Chimmy came off and said, "Who's making the meatloaf?" I'm gonna make some meatloaf, it looks like, because we had a goal, 5 super chats. Like I said, I'm not cheap. Denise Knoll said eggs for the meatloaf. She's got the eggs. There we go. Gonna be able to afford some eggs maybe. And Miss 808 came through and said, meatloaf. So I'm gonna be able to make some more meatloaf. I got 5 super chats tonight. Thank you so much. There's some people clocking my super chats. They're worried that I'm not getting enough super chats. You got me 5 super chats tonight. And like I said, we'll show the video where I take it off. Not everything, just the shirt, just the bare chest. You're gonna see me. I think Sheila noted she had seen the video before. She had seen me rub my nipple. I didn't rub my nipples. I would say I briefly brushed them. I touched them. It wasn't. They objectified me. They totally objectified me in that video. They pour beer on my chest, on my bare chest. Oh, I'm gonna have to play that. I promised you I would play it because I'm not cheap. I did it for free 16 years ago. I took off my shirt for the Revere Beach music comedy video. That's kind of infamous. Some people in Revere love it. Some people don't love it. It's got legs. People still share it, talk about it, post about it. People still come at me about it because I started it. I started the video. You're gonna see it. We're gonna close the show tonight with the Revere Beach video only for the live. We're gonna remove it after the fact. But if you're here, you get to watch it live with us. Yeah, the sex work wasn't respect. I know. Now that it's respectable, I should cash in. I was a pioneer on this stuff. John Cena has an OnlyFans. I think I need to get an OnlyFans. We'll charge 99 cents. Again, I want to thank Canton Community Television, Canton Community TV for airing this. Hopefully they're not mad at me talking about my Revere Beach video. We got a ways to go though. We got like 47 minutes I think left in this.
The proper
Let me go away
protocol
for
for
a few
that
minutes.
is,
I'll be back.
you
I'm
come
getting
in
ready for the Revere Beach
and
video.
you file a complaint at the front desk. The desk officer will take the complaint. We've revamped the form so that they're more detailed, right? Put the complaint out, the person fills it out. It goes up the chain of command to the supervisor. Then it goes to the deputy chief, who then will assign that case to will assign a number and assign that case to someone to investigate the IA. Now, after that happens, the IA investigator is the person that then speaks to all the witnesses. They're going to review body camera footage. They're going to review reports, call logs, and things like that. And those are going to be properly documented. They're going to be admitted as exhibits, right, to an overall document, and it's usually pretty lengthy. And then what happens is after that, there's a summary that's produced, and then once the summary is produced, it gets kicked back up to our Deputy Chief of Administration, who analyzes it for policy violations. Once the Deputy Chief looks at it and brings it to me, says, Chief, here are the policy violations, here's my recommendation. I review it, I look at it, make a determination, and then I determine whether someone's going to get a suspension, do they need retraining, or whatever discipline they need.
Okay, so this is the protocol now. This
Sure.
is what you'll be doing at this point. But in previous years, people would just call the chief or
Yeah.
would just call their police officer friend. And that's where the audit came into play.
Mm-hmm.
Learned that, police officers were using their own cell phones,
Mm-hmm.
their personal cell phones. And that's changed. Can you talk about those changes that have been implemented?
So I'll tell you from personal experience, I worked as a detective in Westboro, and it wasn't until the new chief came in, Jeff Laurie, who happens to be, you'll hear me talk about him a lot. He happens to be my mentor. He's the chief of police over in Falmouth. There was a law that came out where officers were taking pictures of people at accident scenes and then sending them, all over the place. And, those officers lost their jobs over that. But because of that, the chief at the time had said, listen, you shouldn't be using your personal cell phone for anything work-related, right? When you're at work, you use your work cell phone. If you have to take a picture, you take pictures with your work cell phone, right? So we know where things go, we can track it, we monitor it, and that's part of what the study found. So prior to my arrival here, all officers from the top to bottom all have work cell phones that are monitored by our IT department, right? And they're locked down. So that was a part of the study. So I think that's been resolved. So we all have, including myself. I've always had one.
Yeah. So what is the procedure? You come on duty and you're given a department cell phone, or you always have the same one?
Each officer is assigned a cell phone, and I think that's a great move. For me, I live and die by my phone because I don't sleep very well because I'm always waiting for the phone to ring. And I'm not saying that the officers have to do that, but if they're going to do anything business related, it should be on a business phone.
Okay, so they have department issued phones
Sure.
that they keep with them at all times.
Right.
Great. I want to circle back to the internal affairs process. We did discuss it. Is there a length of time that investigations are supposed to take place? I'm thinking, in recent news, Canton Police Officer Sean Good has been on administrative leave due to an internal affairs investigation.
Sure.
And it's been 6 months. Is that normal?
Yes and no.
Okay.
It depends on, so typically if you're talking about, someone, you walked into the police station, this morning and you wanted to file a complaint against a particular officer, that could take, up to 30 days, right? Because you're talking about an IA investigator, interviewing, all the people involved. I've seen internal affairs investigations last a year. I've seen them last 2 years. It just depends on the level of involvement. You could have 30 people that you have to interview, right? And even the most basic investigation, outside of internal affairs, you have to, obviously you have to make sure that you're there's due process. You're following, everything that you need to follow, because, at the end of the day, you don't want it to come back on the department. But beyond that,
And it does have to do with personal cell phone use.
yeah, it could be. So one of the, obviously that, I think that happened in October. He still is an employee here, and, I'm not in a position to really go any further than that. But as far as investigations are concerned, to answer your question, sometimes they could take a long period of time. But that's because, it's just like anything else. There's a demand for due process. We've seen certain cases last for 3 years, 4 years,
Yeah.
right? And then after that, there's, other litigation. So that's just the way it is.
Now, the Canton Police Department is investigating Sean Good, or is it an outside element too?
Yes, so those are things that occur outside.
Oh, okay, outside of Canton.
And that's
The way
all.
it should be, probably, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the radios, the radios
Yeah.
that they have. In our prior meeting, you had said that they needed an upgrade.
Yeah,
Let's
so.
talk about that.
Yeah, so one of the things that I noticed in the observational period is that there would be, an officer would go on a call, and I could, if I was in transit in my cruiser, and if I was in a halfway point between where the station was and where the officer was, I could sometimes hear the transmission where the control center couldn't. Or if the control center wanted to reach out to an officer, they can't communicate. And from what I understand, and I haven't delved too deep into this, I know this is something that the town has been working on, is our radio infrastructure is not good.
Okay.
So we're running into situations where, and I heard it just a few weeks ago, an officer lost radio contact with control, and the sergeant was on the desk. He ordered another officer to leave his sector to go and back the other officer up because we had lost radio contact with him. So that's problematic. That's a safety issue. It's a morale issue. The officers, they want to know that there's help on the way if something happens.
Right.
And unfortunately, right, and this is a thing, this is something that should have been looked at a long time ago. And I don't know why it hasn't, but the officers clearly they don't feel safe. It's not safe. So
You need proper communications.
you do, and that's the most vital piece of technology. I mean, and this is the thing, if something happens at your house, right, and an officer needs help to help you, and they can't get help, then you're dependent on what that officer can do. You don't know. You just don't know. When you call for help, you want help coming. As many people as humanly possible to resolve the situation, and we don't always have access to that.
Okay, so would that be something coming up at town meeting as well?
I do believe that was already set up in the capital plan. It's already been being looked at. I'm not sure. I'm not a communications guru.
Okay.
But I do know that is something that's in the works that we're going to be looking at to rectify.
All right. Let's talk about the body-worn cameras.
Sure.
Because when were they implemented?
So I believe probably almost maybe a year ago.
Okay.
From this time. I'm not sure exactly when, but obviously they've been, the officers have been wearing them since I've been there.
Okay. Now, officers have the ability to turn them off.
Yes.
And I'd like to know, when and why, what circumstances.
Sure.
Are they allowed to shut them off, or is it over privacy issues?
So, on a side note, I implemented the body-worn camera program in Westboro.
Okay.
And a very interesting side note to that.
Years ago.
Yes, so Chief Jeff Laurie, he had asked me to write a policy and a grant for the implementation, and this was before George Floyd, the George Floyd incident.
Yeah.
He had asked me to look at this grant. I looked at it and I said, we're not going to be able to do this. And I said, and also it's not going to be, something that we're going to be able to get past with the unions, right? Because it is a change of working conditions, right? So long story short, it ended up actually taking off, and the officers embraced it. So I had that experience coming into here, but I also was a part of the. I was nominated to be a member of the body-worn camera task force at the state level,
Okay.
where they made recommendations for the implementation of body-worn camera policies across the Commonwealth. So I developed the policy in Westboro that was best practice, that a lot of agencies in Central Mass are using
Okay.
as a template because of the knowledge that I gained from that. So
Yeah.
in particular to Canton, to answer your question, so best practice is, each body-worn camera has what's called a buffer period, right? So they're always recording, right? Video recording. They're not audio recording.
Okay.
Okay, so
'Cause it's a two-person consent state. Is that
yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, it is two-party consent.
two-party consent?
But you're bringing up my point, which is good. In public, when I go out and I hit my body cam and it turns on, I'm good. I'm in a public environment. People, say, well, I'm in my car. Well, if your car is on a public way, right, you're in public. So the officer turns on their body cam. Where we have to shut it off is any medical facilities. Anytime we walk into a private area, a bathroom, unless we're there for legitimate reasons, going to someone's house, right, unless there's exigent circumstances. Now, typically what the officers will do, they'll turn on their body cameras when they get out, and they'll go in and, if someone sees that the body camera's on, then they can request that the body cam be turned off. Now, the reason for that is that sometimes, you don't want to be in a situation where you have somebody that wants to give you information. Let's say, and the example that I use a lot is a sexual assault victim, right?
Yeah.
When they see the camera, it now becomes a barrier for them to communicate with you,
Okay.
right? So those are some of the situations where you will see officers turn off their body cams.
So in public, they stay on
Yes.
for the most part?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that leads me to my next question
Sure.
about privacy in the flock cameras. My understanding is flock cameras are placed around town to read people's license plates, and it's brought up some key privacy issues
Yes, it has.
regarding the movements that police can track people's movements now.
Right.
What are your thoughts about the flock cameras?
So this has been a hot button topic, and I put out a statement regarding the flock system. When I was a chief in Oxford, I had flock come to meet with me. I see it as when I say force multiplier, I know you're going to ask me to explain that.
Yeah.
But I see it as a force multiplier. And what
Force multiplier?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, explain that, please.
So, for example, it's able to put us in spots where we normally wouldn't be in or we're not available to be in, right? So strategic placement around high traffic areas and things like that. Let's say, so my partner's mother, she has early onset dementia, right? So she doesn't drive, right? But, I've been in situations where, I've been the responding officer to someone who's frantic because their loved one is taken off with the car. They try to, get a hold of them on the phone. There's no way that they can contact them. And so now it becomes, okay, where are we looking? Where does this person go? And we have nothing to go on, right? Having flock allows us to say, all right, what's your mom's plate number, your dad's plate number, or whatever, and we can put in a query as part of an investigation. It would generate a report and say, we're looking for this vehicle with this plate, right? So the flock system is a network and would say, okay, this car went through here, and it gives us a lead on things, right? So missing children, missing persons. There's other examples, but I think the biggest misconception that people have when they talk about privacy is When your vehicle's on the road, this is what Flock does. Flock is a camera system that uses AI to look at a vehicle, look at the make, model, look at the plate, right, and connect it to a location, right? So it's not surveillance in the sense. Now, surveillance, I would take a GPS tracker through writing a search warrant and put it on your car,
Okay.
where you would know that's surveillance, right? Or I would, there's a lot, but you need a search warrant to do that,
Right.
right? So on another note, what people don't understand is that Flock is that system is actually very restrictive in the information that it gives us. It just gives us a location, right? If you have a stolen vehicle, it gives us a location. I could just as easily, I don't have it in my cruiser, but I can go into a police cruiser and type in, you heard me talk about CGIS in my interview. I could type in a plate, I can type in your name, I can find out where you live, what kind of car you have, who lives in your house. Those are all things that we already have access to that are regulated. And we're talking about a camera system that is networked, that just, it reads plates and it says, yes, this was here.
So how, if you are, how do you access it? Is it information that's provided to you all day long? Like you know every car that's
No.
coming in and out of Canton? How is it accessed?
So per policy, and this is kind of a standard practice with most police departments that use it, whenever you access the system, it has to be associated with a call number, a log note, or an incident case number, right? So you put in your name. When you go in, you have a username. That username is tracked, time-stamped, and it says what information you're looking for. Then you have to put in the reason that you're looking for it, and it has to be associated with an incident number.
Okay.
Right? So that could be reviewed at any time by myself or my deputy chiefs to ensure compliance. But that's how it's tracked. So we always know who's going in it and what for. Now, if what they're looking for, right, and this is the other thing that people should know, this is why we generate incident numbers with these things, because if they're looking for a particular vehicle, that particular vehicle has to match the actual incident report. So when you do, if I'm doing a records query on something, I should be able to see that the query on Flock matches the query over here. So when I do an audit, I can go, okay, yep, there's a report number associated with that. There's a call log associated with that. This person did this, this, and this. And that's what it is. It's, and I understand, the concerns, but I also think too, and this is my belief, you have to educate people, right?
That's why we're here today.
Yeah, you do. You have to educate people, because if you're not educating them, then they're going to be left to wonder, and then it becomes problematic down the road.
Right. And there's been problems in Canton.
Yeah.
We're still feeling that.
Sure.
Through the police and truth and transparency.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about social media.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch the topic here. And the effect it's had on the police department.
Sure.
It was mentioned in the Five Stones intelligence report, and what's your take on it?
So the report itself, this is interesting because when I did my written assignment, because I logged on to the town's, the police department's Facebook page to see what the comments were and things like that, and I noticed that there was nothing that you could see or whatever. It was all blocked. Now, I agree with that method, right? I agree with that. When I say I agree, given what the department and the town has been through,
Yeah.
I don't think exacerbating a problem is a solution, right? You're not going to cause people to come together if you're constantly ridiculing things. It could be, I could sit here and give people puppies on social media, and then you have that one person that is like, I hate puppies, because they hate Canton PD, right? That's not what we're trying to do. So I do agree with that, but I also think social media can be used in a good way, but we've had struggles with it,
Yes.
One of the things, and I'll bring up two examples, because there's always narratives, in these things, and people don't understand the motivations behind these narratives. And I'll give you two examples that I'd like to talk about. The first one was the night of my my appointment,
Okay.
when the Board of Selectmen were voting on who they were going to select as a police chief. If you looked at that, there were many officers in the back.
There were along the
Right.
back wall. Yeah.
They were all in the back, and when there was a brief period where this is the other thing too, I had no idea what was going to happen. I thought a decision wasn't going to be made till a day or two later. I would find out the next day. But as I was walking out, our HR director said, "Hold on a second, there's going to be a decision made tonight," and she put me in a room and sequestered me.
Oh, okay.
So, but the officers that were present there, they had no idea if they needed to stick around or what was going on, and then they ended up leaving.
Right.
Right. So then when you go on social media, you start seeing, and I'm going to be genuine here. It's, they don't like him because he's black. They don't like him because he's this, he's going to clean house, he's going to do this, and they're disrespecting him. Right.
Because they left.
Because they left. And that's not the reason. And I'm going to tell you, the other thing is a lot of those people called me. I came into the station 2 weeks later, and I had a sergeant come to me, and he goes, "Listen," he goes, "we are so sorry about that. We weren't trying to disrespect you or trying to," and I said, "Listen, you don't have to explain to me. I know what the intentions were." I said, I was in the same situation you guys were years ago, where a new chief came in. I didn't even show up. And it wasn't because I didn't like the guy or because I wanted the internal guy. It was just because I didn't want to go.
So you are feeling welcomed within the
Oh
station.
my Lord. This is the thing that I feel bad for these guys.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get emotional, but I do.
Okay.
I feel bad, and I feel bad because they're working hard for this community, and I see that, but the people don't. There's two groups, and I don't know what it is. So I feel bad for the people in the community that are. I had an officer just tell me the other day.
Okay.
He said, in this particular neighborhood that he lives in, and there's other people that live there. They always used to have gatherings and get-togethers, right, with their neighbors, right? And so this is what I see in Canton, right? This is what I see, and this is from an officer.
Yeah.
We'd have gatherings. There'd be, someone would have a barbecue
Like
at their
a
house.
block party or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We would go and do that, and that doesn't exist anymore because I'm associated with Canton PD, or I had a role in something that I did the best that I could on.
Yeah.
Right. So that's to me, that's an awful feeling to have coming into work every day for people that sometimes they don't want to see the other side. Right. So I'm sorry.
No, it's understandable. You're objective. You're new
Yeah.
to the town, and there's a divide
And I
a little
want
bit.
to add something else. We have a lot of young officers,
Yeah.
that I've talked to individually, and they're questioning, is it, and they live here.
I was going to ask, how many officers, because it's been brought up that, officers shouldn't live in the town that they serve.
Okay.
And I think that's old-fashioned New England. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people serve where they live.
So there's two sides to that, but so yes and no.
Okay.
Right? And this is one of the issues that I have with civil service. You take a test, and this is entry level, right? You take a test, and if you're a veteran, you get points. If you are in the military, you get points. If you had somebody die, that was a police officer in the line of duty, you get to move to the top of the list, and then you get residency preference.
Okay, so Canton is a civil service
Yes.
town, okay.
So this is what happens, and this is I can tell you this is something that I love about Canton that is very characteristic, and this is why I would want, if I had grown up here, I would have stayed here, right? And a lot of these officers do because of the story that I just told you. It's a neighborly, you know, every single officer that I talk to, somebody comes into the lobby and they're, hey, I know that person because I went to school with their brother or sister. So there's that tight closeness, right? But what happens from that is that when people want that, right? People want from their police department to feel, you know, that their officers are taking care of them, right?
Part of the community.
Yes, and you don't get that with an external person. The care is not always there to the same level. If you and I went to school together, right? And we came up through, you know, and I'm a police officer, and you came to me and you asked me for help because you know Mike Daniels. I'm going to help you. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you, right? You know, and the appearance of that sometimes can be, you know, you wear the badge and you try to, you know, do the best that you can, but then there's this perspective or the appearance that, you know, oh, well, this person's getting special treatment because it's being a human. It's being a human being. You know someone, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. It's, you want to establish, it's like,
But that's where the problems lie. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Because, you know, it is thought that the investigation into John O'Keefe's death would have been different had these alliances not known each other so closely.
So I'm going to throw this out there because that's not the reason,
Okay.
right? I'm going to tell, and people can argue this till they're blue in the face. I'm there. I see what they do, right?
Yeah.
Could that be an element, right? You don't want to think that somebody that you know has done something right, but you have an oath to uphold,
Absolutely. you
right?
do. Yes.
But here's the key thing. If you're the leader of that department, you need to demand professionalism and efficiency in everything. It doesn't matter who it is. It does not matter, right? So if I'm the boss and I show up to a situation, I make sure I remind these guys, listen, I don't care what the relationships are. You need to pull back and let, you know, direct and take care of things. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say more at a public event,
Okay.
but there's organizational chaos within our PD, right? Is that a bad thing? Yes, it is. And you know why? Because, and I've already worked on it. This is part of bringing the deputy chief in. This is part of this.
Okay.
One of the major things that I've seen here is that the executive level command staff, and I've run into this problem early, when I need to gain access to a specific lieutenant, you know, I have to wait a few days for that to happen. And there's things that I just don't want to communicate through email. I want to have a conversation and say, I need you to do this, and this is how you do it.
Why do you wait a few days? I'm not understanding that.
So what we have right now is typically in many organizations that are this size, and I'll use Westboro for an example,
Okay.
where I came from. I had a very defined role, very defined, and my duties and responsibilities were clearly outlined, and I did not deviate outside of that, right? The reason for that is because it holds one person accountable for those tasks, right? Here we have the upper level command staff. They all share the same responsibilities depending on who's present based on the schedule,
I see.
right? Yeah. So what does that do, right? When a problem happens, it then creates, well, who's responsible for that? Well, I handled it, but I had to hand it off to this person, and that person's like, well, no, I thought it, and that's what happens, right? So, this is the thing, in a paramilitary organization, you have to have clearly designated, defined, and very, very clear roles within the agency, right? You have to have that because we talked about the complexity of things,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And I, as the boss, I have to make sure that those things exist so that if something gets broken in the chain or something's not handled correctly, I can identify who the source is, what the problem is, and take care of that situation. that hasn't been happening.
Yeah, you can't change the past, but you can move forward
And
and fix
that's the
it.
thing. I wanted to go back
Oh, sure.
on something else that I think is important, because this is something else that I've gotten feedback on, but it was relative to the situation that I was talking about with regards to the officers in the back and perception, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I had the second example that I wanted to
Oh,
offer.
for social media, yeah.
Yeah, the second example I wanted to offer was, and how it's been detrimental to us is that, we had that situation, that the perception was,
Was that they didn't approve of,
they didn't approve of,
of you being hired.
yeah,
That was the perception out there.
right,
And that was nothing, that was just timing.
Exactly.
The timing was off. No one knew the decision was going to be made.
right,
And they thought that they would leave the meeting.
right. But second to that, one day, we're at the station. It was probably my second week, and and this has to do with recruiting and hiring that I was talking about. This is what makes things difficult. We brought in 5 people that we were interviewing, and we went a little bit late. But as we're doing the interviews, I'm hearing a lot of commotion and things going on out front of the station. So, I try to ignore it, but it was a little bit distracting. We get through the final interview, so I go upstairs to my office and I look outside and I see every Friday from 12 to 2, there's a group of people, they're great people, by the way, that stand out front, and they hold signs. But on this particular day, this is like, I'm going to explain this very thoroughly, because this kind of helped influence kind of how I view things, in talking to you.
Okay.
So I looked outside and I saw the group was getting ready to shut down, and they were going across the street. So I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? Because this is how I am. I want to, introduce myself to these individuals. So I go out, and one particular individual who used to work for us was in that group, and I think he organizes these. So I went over, I introduced myself to every one of them. I talked to them, and it wasn't very long. And that particular individual said very clearly, Chief, do you have a problem with what we're doing here? And I said, well, you're exercising your First Amendment rights. That's what we're here to protect. I said, no, I don't have a problem with what you're doing here. And I did explain. I said, we're trying to hire people. Obviously, people coming in and driving in and seeing this, doesn't help our cause. But you're that's your constitutional right.
Right.
So no, and that's what I'm here to protect. Now, fast forward 2 weeks, and this is where social media becomes problematic. 2 weeks later, I'm at the station, and I get a text from one of my relatives, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you trying to set Canton on fire?" And I go, "What are you talking about?" So as I'm, going to text her back, I get several emails, and then one of the guys is like, "Hey, you might want to look at social media." So I go up to my office, I open one of my emails, and I see, like, I'm getting inundated with, something that this person put out on social media saying, Chief Daniel supports us, supports our cause. And in that social media post, he lists like anti this and anti that. And I'm like, first off, this is an individual who's a former police officer that knows, as a police chief, you cannot align yourself with any group, any political affiliation, right?
Yeah.
Because that compromises your position. So this person took that narrative and he put it together and made it sound like it was something that I was supporting. So I went outside, I had a conversation with the individual, and I said, listen, don't attach my name to social media in this manner, because it's not helping us.
Right.
I'm here to bring the community together to make the department move forward, and that's working adversely or contrary to what I'm trying to do here. So he obliged, and then, we went on. But I want to make.
Well, this has been amazing. I'm so glad we watched this tonight, because I hadn't watched it all, and just watching it all, and it's funny to hear him defend the police officers that left that night when he got the job. Like that was, I thought that was actually really good. I think this guy, the police chief, I don't want to call him the guy. That's not respect. We don't say that. This police chief, Michael Daniels, I think he's doing a good job. I think some of the things he might be saying might turn some people off. It could be controversial in some respects, but this is what Canton needs. Like this guy should do more interviews. He's really good. He defends his guys. He's focused on what's important, management. He admitted the organizational chaos. He's identified the issues, the real issues. Like this guy is good. He's good public speaker too, and he's honest. He's honest about what's going on with Peter. He's talking about Peter Murphy right now. We know he's talking about Peter Murphy. And he's being like fair to all sides. Like that's the thing. Like he's not trying to pick a side. He's trying to represent the community. I like him. I like him. I think he's doing a good job. But Chief Daniels, I'd say keep doing what you're doing. You're a good manager. You can tell. They got the right guy for this job. I'm convinced of it. Let's hear what else he has to say. Maybe I'll change my mind in a second. I don't know. I mean, you never know because this is getting. He's talking about Peter Murphy. We like Peter Murphy.
Make a point, that people need to really think critically about why people do things and the perception of it. They need to really think critically and ask yourself why. Why is a person doing that? What is their motivation?
Right.
Right? And that has to be clear. I went to graduate school, right? If I had to do a research paper, I couldn't just make something up and go, here's my research. What did the professor ask you to do? Verify your sources, verify them, right? So if you're doing research, you've got to properly cite what somebody else has said properly if you're going to attach it to anything that you're putting a work product out on.
Right. Things can't just be edited out of context.
And that's a big one for me. And I also want people to know, and I'll leave it at this. If I didn't say it directly, I didn't say it in this form, or I'm not quoted, then it's not true and it's inaccurate.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do anything that's going to further hurt this town. I've told you this.
Right.
Or hurt the PD. So that's my stance. But I think I needed to say that. That's why I backtracked, because that is very important. Very important.
Yeah. Well, I thank you. I thank you for clarifying that. And in our previous meeting before the cameras came on, you talked about the need for this community to have resource dogs. And I found that interesting. Do we have a police dog, and what's the difference between resource and police dogs? Changing the subject here.
No, it's okay. So in the past, I believe there was a patrol dog.
What I like about this guy, I don't like using the guy. That sounds like a McAlbert phrase. What I like about this police chief is that he's open, he's transparent, he speaks on things, but he's not venomous. He's not like, this was the problem with Helena Rafferty. When she spoke, she was venomous. She attacked people by name. And then she shut down. She didn't do any of what he's doing. We didn't see any interviews with her. Her and Michael Morrissey basically disappeared from public view. Chief Daniels is out there. This is a good interview. Galvin, this Denise Galvin, I believe, what's her name? Andrea Galvin, excuse me. Getting my Galvins mixed up. She did a good job. This is a good job. Canton Community TV, this was the perfect venue to do it. If you want to watch it all uninterrupted, Canton Community TV, definitely check that website out. If you're especially a Canton resident, you want to keep up with what's going on in Canton. They have a lot of good shows on there. Canton Community Television. It's also on the cable television access. He's doing a good job. This is what you want from your chief. He's focused on what's important, recruiting, getting rid of the organizational chaos, fixing the radios, fixing the things that publicly been questioned, and he's acknowledging them. He has a plan. He has operation. He's got a guy who's coming in, who's got major management experience. He's doing the right things. I hope he does more of this. I think he should come on some YouTube shows. I'd like to have the chief on here.
And
Chief Daniels, come on, the Young
canines are
Jerks.
usually used for, apprehension, search, rescue, drug detection, and things like that. So my understanding of is I don't know why it's no longer here, but a community resource dog I think is, I think it's something that I wouldn't say it's necessary, but I think it's something that would boost our relationship with the community.
Well, like a comfort type dog?
Well, they're the same. I don't
Okay.
want to say, so I don't want to use the term comfort dog because,
Okay.
Comfort dog implies that, the dog is there to make you comfortable. It's a my
Yeah.
term
Yeah,
is it's a community resource animal or community resource dog, right? Where we can use it in the future, community engagement events,
help connect everyone.
Not discount your comment, Stephen, who says, I see as being careful, but red flags to me when there is more than just one makes me aware to watch closely. The thing about the being careful is that's the role. Like a police chief is supposed to be careful. Like he has to be careful. He has to not pick sides. He has to be fair. He has to be, but at the same time, he has to be public. He has to be not afraid to answer questions and be transparent. And that's what he's doing. That's what I actually like about this guy. This chief, this police chief. Stop saying guy, Mike. This police chief, this is what I like about him. Of course, he's protecting. Like you said at the end, you said my mind is not set up, but he shows he's probably protecting. Well, that's his role. I mean, he's supposed to protect the police department. That is what part of the role is, and protect the town from liability. And he's supposed to try to develop a professional police force, which he's trying to do. He's trying to get some new people in there. So this is not. It's like threading a what do we call that? Threading a needle. That's what he's doing. He's trying to thread a needle. You got to be very precise. So of course, and we all should be aware of that, and obviously be skeptical because of that. Always, anyone in power, anyone in a position like this, of course they're going to be careful. That's what they should be. Uh, this is like 10 more minutes left of this. I'm going to let this go. In terms of we're going to shut it down for now. If you want to watch it, it's over at Canton Community TV. You can watch the rest of it. There's like 10 more minutes. It's getting late. I promised you. Well, first of all, I got to thank all the super chatters because there was Victorine, one of our moderators, came through tonight. She said, catch up for the meatloaf. I think there might be some beer on the meatloaf coming up. I hope you don't, Victorine. I don't know if you've seen this Revere Beach video. You might not want to watch it with your family members. You might want to. I hope you don't think differently of us after we play this video. Mike has the best content. You'll see. This may not be the best content. It may be. We'll see. We're gonna put some content up right now. Something different. I promised you. If I got 5 super chats tonight. And I think I got 7. I got 7. I said if I got 5 super chats, I would take it off. I would show you when I was at my least fit, my most chubbiest, when I took the shirt off. I exposed my bare chest and rubbed my you-know-what. And I let a girl pour beer on me. And I did a one-arm push-up, and I acted like kind of a stereotypical meathead from Revere. That was the role. We're going to play the video. It's called Revere Beach. Some people find this highly offensive, so there is a trigger warning on this. This is comedy. Some people like it. Some people get the humor. Some people think it's stupid. For something that I didn't even know I was going to do, I got acting credit on IDBM on this, or whatever that is, too, for this. Under Mike Can. I used to be Mike Can. That was what I was known as. I got acting credit for this video and the series I was in. I didn't even know I was going to be in this. I was supposed to help just film and scout and all that stuff with my buddy, the director, Warren Lynch, who used to be on the show actually back in the day. And it's funny because something like this that just kind of funny and hilarious has like gotten me a lot of attention over the years. This video has actually gotten quite a few views. It's kind of locally legendary. Are you ready for this? Your mom is watching. She wants to laugh. Oh my God. I hope mom is ready for this. Mom, I'm embarrassed. I'm going to be blushing. I'm going to remove myself because I don't want you to see me when I take off my shirt, when I bare my bosom, when I get objectified, when I become a video vixen. I am a, you know how they use those, what do they call them? Whatever they used to be like Samantha Fox, and then they had all the ones in the hip hop videos where they pour the beer on the girls. And those girls actually get famous. Like, remember Tawny Katan? I'm one of them. I am the spice. I'm the hot girl on the Corvette. All right, let's play the video. This is what we're going to end it with. You want to hit, yeah, you put up your ones if you want to see my bare bosom. This was when I was like my worst. I was at my lowest point in my life. Physically, mentally, spiritually. But I had a guy named Michael Malta in my corner. That's one guy I had, Michael Malta. His father just died, Daddy-O. Just found out his dad, Michael Malta, my best friend, passed away in 2013. And his dad just passed away this week at age 95 years old. His whole motto was, don't worry, don't stress, don't worry, no worries. I've been trying to live my life like that over the last years, and it does make a difference. No worry, don't worry, it will work out. So let's put up a 1 in the chat for my bare bosom, for Michael Malta, and the guy we call Daddy-O. Daddy-O, who passed away at 95. Michael Malta's dad, who's also named Michael. 3 mics. We did videos together. It was the 3 mics. I'm the only one left out of the 3 mics. Daddy-O, KLP, and Mike Can. That was the 3 mics back then. We did a lot of videos back then. One of the biggest videos, one of the biggest moments at the Boston Freedom Rally for a speaker, I thought, something I actually booked and championed too, was we brought Daddy-O up when he was in his 80s to smoke a joint with all the kids on the Boston Common, because it's a bunch of kids that show up for the Hemp Fest. And we had KOP get up there, the son, and talk about how when he was younger, he had OCD, and he found that medical cannabis was helping it. And his dad found out and was kicking his ass and got really mad that he was smoking cannabis. But later on, his dad found out that his mom also had OCD, and it helped her. And that his dad went from hating cannabis to supporting it and smoking with him. And he wanted to know if everyone in the audience wanted him to bring up his 85-year-old father and to smoke some weed with him. And he did it, and the crowd went fucking nuts. And that was Daddy-O. Daddy-O died this week, 95 years old. All right, so let's watch the video. KOP was part of the series too. I wonder if Daddy-O was in Quiet Desperation. This was from the TV series Quiet Desperation. The song, this music video, was called Revere Beach. And you'll see Robbie Roadsteamer in it, a bunch of other musicians and comedians, and Big Nez, who actually used to produce the show at one point, way back. He's the star of this one. All right, peace out. I will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. with Boston City Councilor Ed Flynn. We're going to talk about veteran money that just got restored to the city of Boston. Veteran service money that Ed Flynn just fought for. He's going to be on the show tomorrow night. We're going to talk about tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time We're also going to talk about scooters, the electric scooters, how dangerous they are on the sidewalks, and all sorts of other things about the city of Boston, probably about Cox and O'Keefe too. I want to thank you so much, O'Harry. One, doing a good job. Mike, thank you so much. Again, the super chats. We got 8 super chats tonight. Keep up with that, Turtle Boys War Room. You're all caught up now. You're ready. So we're ready for the big close. This is the big close. Are we ready for this? Are you ready? Put the one up in the chat if you want to see my bosom. Here is my bosom. Here is the offensive video that people have tried to use against me, that people still comment on all these years later about this legendary Revere Beach video. And let me say about this Revere Beach video too, is we did this without a permit. We just went out Revere Beach. We brought our ragtag crazy crew. We drew a lot of eyeballs. They knew something was up. The cops were called. I was the one who had to go talk to the police. I was the one who calmed it down so we didn't get arrested or fined. Of course. They came in hard. They were like really mad at us at first until I worked it out with them. Here's the video. Revere Beach. You made it happen tonight. Like I said, your super chat donations. I'm gonna get a meatloaf, and you're gonna get the meatloaf right now. I'll see you tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, whatever we call it, 4 p.m. Eastern time, with Boston City Councilor Ed Flynn. Also at 1 p.m., I'll be on, I believe, the Grace Curley Show tomorrow, too, as well, on WRKO and like 40 other radio stations. Friday. We'll see you then. Grace Curley Show 1 and Ed Flynn, Young Jerks at 4 p.m. tomorrow, Friday. I'll see you then. Peace out, jerks.
You like to go to Revere Beach? Go to Revere Beach. Yay, Revere Beach. Ay, 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 ay.
On Revere Beach, I've been there. There's no sucking and f***ing. There's a lot of stupid sandcastles.
Just play that for you. Um, uh, just so you know, I am not the real skinny guy. The real skinny guy with the goat head. We found that skinny. That's me. That is me right there, getting kicked. Um, oh man, that is so bad. That is not me. That's the director. That's Warren. Who used to be on the show, Warren Lynch. That one right there. That is me. That is me graze. It's just a graze. I was just a graze. Look at those pipes. Look at those arms. They're bigger now. You guys paid for this. You paid for this tonight. You made that happen. You made it happen. Oh, I have the content. This is the content. I got objectified. They were pouring beer on my chest. What kind of beer was that? Was that like I think it was a Miller. I think it was a Miller High Life maybe. It was real beer. I think I drank the rest of that beer actually. Oh man. Man. You want a refund? Oh my God, Sarah. Sarah, no refunds. This is like Ticketmaster, Live Nation. There will be no refunds. It's rain or shine. I'm sorry. No refunds. You cannot get your money back. How old was I in this? Oh man. It was 16 years ago. So how old am I now? They say I'm almost ready to collect Social Security. So you figure it out. I'm 35, right? Right now? I think I was above that age. Probably early to mid 30s. I don't know. I'm aging myself. I was 19, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I was 19 years old. That was when I was 19. No, in 19, I was in better shape. You would have seen the abs right there. See that? That's kind of flat. Like I was flabby then. I'd been working in offices and then unemployed for a little bit. I got wiped out. Financial crisis. Overqualified for jobs. It was just, that was probably right before I started like mowing lawns again. That's what I had to go to mowing lawns, and that's when I started getting in shape again. Actually, this was, but yeah, I was 19 definitely. You're trying to find out how old I am? I'm not telling. It's an old trick I learned from some entertainment pros. Never tell them how old you are. Don't let people know, and especially in this age, don't give out too much information. Some people put their whole life on these streams, on these shows. I think that's just insane. I hold a lot back. Even though I've learned to share more. I have. I share more than because of you. I mean, people want to know some things. All right, I'm gonna go. Riviera Beach, S'ing and effing every day of the week. That was Joe Wong who opened up the video too. I think he's a somewhat well-known national comedian. Couldn't whip my way out of a wet paper sack. I'd whip the paper sack. I would. Give me, you know what? Like that's the thing. I told Sanchez, who definitely has some wrestling and grappling and fighting and MMA, jiu-jitsu type experience, martial arts, combat sports. He was talking about like, who would want to go against and fight. And I was always like, give me a fucking fish now. Like when I was at my height, when I was like a real wrestler and shit, I would hate the matches when you get like someone that sucked, when you'd like pin them in 30 seconds, because it's like you want a real match. You want something that's going to challenge you, even if you're still going to win, you want something that's going to. Now I'm like, give me the fucking fish. I want the fish. Joe Biffle, I want the fish. I want the wet paper sack. That's what I want to wrestle. Give me the fucking fish. Back in the day when I was all hard, I'd be like, fuck the fish. I don't want to fucking wrestle some pussy. I want to wrestle someone who's fucking a monster, someone who challenges me. Now I'm like, give me the fish. Now instead of doing a 30-second pin, I'll take them down and let them up like 10 times in a row and put it on the live stream. Oh, you got me going now. You got me. Yeah, I see you're making me swell up now. You got me all swelled up. I gotta go. Yeah, like I was 19 then, 2010. Yeah. When did this video come out? It does say it on there. It came out. Oh shit, I lost it. 2010. This video came out. All right, I've said goodbye like 10 times now. I'll see you tomorrow, Friday. Young Jerks, 4 p.m. Boston City Councilor Ed Walsh, please come check it out tomorrow live, 4 p.m. And 1 p.m. Grace Curley Show, WRKO, and like 40 other radio stations all over New England. Oh, we need to have a music night. We do. We need a night out with some music, actually. Maybe eventually we'll do something. In like a year or two when all the drama dies down, we'll have a night for all the old jerks to get together and play some music. Will Daly suggested that. I'm not ready for it yet, but eventually. All right, I gotta go. I'll see you soon. Tomorrow. Young Jerks, thank you so much. Thank you for all the super chats and throwing the money at me and getting me to throw this up on the screen. Yeah, you're gonna need it. You'll have time. We'll be no rush. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, jerks.